You think you know what a shark is. The great white, with its black button eyes and rows of triangular teeth. The hammerhead, with its absurdly flattened head. These images are familiar. They're on t-shirts, in documentaries, in post-Jaws nightmares. But all these animals live in the upper layers of the ocean, in the sunlit zone. This zone is a thin film, barely 200 meters thick, on an ocean with an average depth of 3,700 meters. We know a tiny fraction of the shark world, the upper 5%. The other 95% is darkness, cold, and pressure, capable of crushing a submarine. And other sharks live there. But under this sunlit film, under 200 meters, where the light finally dies, another world begins. And other sharks live there. Sharks that look like they were designed, not by natural selection, but by a nightmare. The deeper you dive, the stranger, older, and creepier they become. It's as if the ocean deliberately hides its most terrifying creatures away from human eyes. Today, we'll take a vertical journey from the surface to the bottom, layer by layer. And at each level, we'll meet sharks that will make you think completely differently about what lurks in the deep. Get ready, because some of these creatures have only been seen alive a few times in history. And some are so bizarre that scientists still don't fully understand how they even function. But before we dive in, we need to understand why depth changes everything.
The ocean is not a homogeneous mass of water.
It's a series of layers, each with its own physical laws. And the transition between them is as stark as moving from a tropical rainforest to an Arctic desert. The upper 200 meters is the epipelagic zone, the sunlight zone. This is where the vast majority of marine life we know lives. Corals, tuna, dolphins, great white sharks. Light penetrates here. Photosynthesis works. Food chains begin with microscopic algae. Below 200 meters begins the mesopelagic zone, the twilight zone. Light is still present, but so little that photosynthesis is impossible. Deeper than 700 meters is the bathypelagic zone, the midnight zone. Absolute darkness, temperatures barely above freezing, and pressure in the tens of atmospheres. Deeper still, the abyssal zone, from 3,000 to 6,000 meters. And the Hadal zone, deeper than 6,000, the bottom of ocean trenches. Pressure here can exceed 1,000 atmospheres, water barely above freezing. And food is so scarce that every calorie is worth its weight in gold. At each of these levels, evolution solved the same problems. How to hunt in the dark. How to conserve energy in the cold. How to withstand pressure, but it solved them in increasingly radical ways. And sharks, existing for over 450 million years. Older than trees, older than dinosaurs, older than bones, proved to be some of the most inventive experimenters. The deeper evolution went, the less the result resembled what we call a shark, and the more it resembled something from another world. Let's begin our dive. First stop, 200 to 500 meters, the upper edge of the twilight zone. Here we'll meet the mako shark, one of the last normal sharks you'll see.
The mako is the fastest shark on the planet, capable of accelerating up to 70 kilometers per hour.
Its body is a torpedo of muscle, perfectly streamlined, built for speed. It has an interesting feature, rare among sharks: partial warm-bloodedness. This gives it an advantage in reaction speed when it dives into cold depths for prey. The Mako, the boundary between the world we know and the world we're about to enter. 300 to 600 meters. The twilight deepens. Here lives the goblin shark. And at first glance, you understand that the rules have changed. Its snout is extended forward in a long, flat blade, studded with electroreceptors, organs that detect electrical fields generated by the muscle contractions of prey. In pitch blackness, where eyes are useless, this blade acts as a biological metal detector, scanning the bottom for fish and squid buried in the silt. But the creepiest thing about the goblin shark is its jaws. It's the only shark on the planet with such a mechanism. When it attacks, its face momentarily transforms into something with no analog among vertebrates. A mask of pink flesh with teeth protruding forward. The goblin shark is a living fossil. Its genus, Mitsukurina, has existed virtually unchanged for about 125 million years. It swam in the same oceans as ichthyosaurs and plesiosaurs. Dinosaurs died out, continents moved, ice ages came and went, and the goblin shark remained the same. Depth is a refuge from change. But conditions on the ocean floor have remained virtually unchanged for hundreds of millions of years. The same darkness, the same cold, the same pressure. Evolutionary pressure here is weaker than on the surface, and species, once adapted, can exist for unimaginably long, 500 to 1,000 meters. We've entered a zone where light is no longer a dim glow, but its complete, absolute absence. One of the rarest and most mysterious large animals on the planet. It was first discovered only in 1976, when a specimen accidentally got entangled in the anchor chain of a warship off the coast of Hawaii. Until that moment, science had not the slightest idea of its existence. A 5-meter shark, weighing almost a ton, had hidden from humanity throughout the entire history of zoology. Since then, just over 70 encounters have been recorded in almost half a century. We know less about it than about some extinct dinosaurs. The megamouth shark reaches 5.5 meters in length. Its head is disproportionately huge. It slowly swims through clouds of plankton and small shrimp, sucking them in with its open mouth. Its body is soft and flabby, not a streamlined Mako torpedo, but a baggy, almost shapeless silhouette, adapted not for speed, but for minimal energy expenditure. There's a hypothesis that the inner surface of its mouth is bioluminescent, glowing in the dark. Attracting plankton like a lamp attracts moths. Imagine it, in pitch blackness, at a depth of 700 meters. The megamouth shark performs vertical migrations, one of the most amazing survival strategies in the deep ocean. At night, it rises to the surface, following the plankton that also migrates upwards under the cover of darkness. By day, it descends back into the depths, sometimes 1,000 meters or more. Every 24 hours, a journey of a kilometer up and a kilometer down. This rhythm repeats day after day, year after year, in absolute solitude. In a world without horizons and without landmarks. 1,000 to 2,000 meters. Welcome to the bathypelagic zone, the midnight ocean. Pressure here is 100 times atmospheric. Temperature from 2 to 4 degrees. And here it doesn't look like a fish, it looks like a snake, or a sea serpent from medieval maps with the inscription, Here be monsters. Its body is long, eel-like, up to 2 meters long.
With a disproportionately small head and a maw studded with a 300-tooth palisade. Each tooth is a trident. 3 sharp, backward-curving hooks on a single base. But the strangest thing about the frilled shark is its attack method. It doesn't pursue prey like a mako or stalk like a great white. It strikes like a snake. Coiling its body into an S-shaped pose, it shoots forward with its entire body, grabbing prey in a lunge. Similar to a terrestrial snake, not a marine fish.
This behavior is unique among sharks, and absolutely logical for a creature living in an environment where every calorie counts.
Chasing prey in the deep is an unaffordable luxury. Energy is too precious. Better to lie in wait, ambush, and strike once, for sure. The frilled shark is another living fossil. Its lineage dates back to the late Cretaceous period, about 80 million years ago. It's older than the Alps, older than the Atlantic Ocean in its current form. And it hasn't changed, because it didn't need to change. The deep is a museum where evolution slows almost to a halt, 1,500 to 3,000 meters. At these depths, sharks begin to break rules we thought were unbreakable. Here live ghost sharks, deep-sea species from the family Pseudotriachidae, whose bodies are so adapted to pressure that when brought to the surface, they literally fall apart. Their muscles are gelatinous, not dense and powerful like surface predators, but watery and soft.
This is not an evolutionary mistake. It's an adaptation.
At depths where food appears once a week, or even months, maintaining powerful musculature is an unaffordable luxury.
Gelatinous muscles require minimal energy to maintain.
The shark becomes slow, almost immobile, but it spends almost nothing. It can drift for weeks in absolute darkness, barely moving its fins, waiting for something edible to fall from above. At these same depths lives the six-gill shark, one of the most primitive sharks on Earth. Most modern sharks have 5 pairs of gill slits. The six-gill, as its name suggests, has 6. This is an anatomical relic, a legacy of an era when sharks had not yet acquired their modern appearance. The six-gill shark reaches 6 meters in length. It lives at depths of up to 2,500 meters. But at night, it rises to the surface. Its eyes, huge, fluorescent green, are adapted to capture minimal light.
Its movements are slow and economical.
It glides through the water with minimal energy expenditure, using its long tail as an oar. But when it finds large prey, a dead whale that has sunk to the bottom, it's capable of feasting for hours, stuffing its stomach to the brim, because the next meal might be weeks away. And this is a key point. In the deep, the main source of food is marine snow. A continuous, slow, endless rain of dead organisms, feces, mucus, and organic debris,
Settling from the upper layers of the ocean.
Every year, trillions of tons of organic matter slowly descend through the water column.
A journey that can take weeks.
By the time these flakes reach the bathypelagic zone, most of the nutrients have already been extracted by bacteria and animals from the upper layers. What reaches the bottom are the leftovers of the leftovers. This is why deep-sea sharks are so radically different from surface sharks.
They live in a world of total scarcity.
Where every evolutionary decision is subordinated to one goal: to spend as little energy as possible, and to use every piece of food found to the last molecule. There's another adaptation
That makes deep-sea sharks truly creepy. Their eyes.
Many surface sharks have relatively small eyes. Their vision, supplemented by smell and electroreception, is sufficient.
But at certain depths, in the twilight zone, where the last photons still linger, eyes become huge.
Disproportionately large, round, with giant pupils, they gather every quantum of available light.
The dark adaptation of the retina reaches such a degree that some deep-sea sharks are capable of seeing bioluminescence.
The glow of living organisms from a distance of tens of meters.
In a world where the only light is the flashes of living creatures, eyes become weapons. You see what glows, and you know where the food is.
Huge, non-migratory, greenish glowing eyes against a shapeless dark body.
An image straight out of a horror movie. Speaking of glowing,
bioluminescence is one of the most common adaptations in the deep ocean, and sharks have mastered it to perfection. The dwarf lantern shark, the smallest shark in the world, just 20 centimeters, fits in the palm of your hand. It lives at depths from 200 to 1,000 meters and glows all over. Special cells, photophores, are scattered across the entire underside of its body. The glow serves as counter-illumination. When a predator looks up from below, the shark's silhouette dissolves.
Against the dim glow of the surface, it becomes invisible.
And in 2015, a new species was described, the ninja lantern shark. Named precisely for its ability to blend with the surrounding darkness. A black body, tiny glowing dots, absolute invisibility. It swims in the dark like a ghost, and you won't know it's there until it's too late. 2,500, 3,500 meters. Here, on the border of the bathypelagic and abyssal zones, lives a creature that looks like the result of an experiment gone too far. The cookie-cutter shark, or Brazilian luminous shark. Small, only half a meter long.
A creature with disproportionately large green eyes and thick, fleshy lips.
The cookie-cutter shark is one of the strangest parasites in the ocean. Its lower teeth are wide, triangular, fused into a continuous cutting semicircle, like the blade of a pizza cutter. It swims up to a large animal, a tuna, a dolphin, a whale, even a great white shark.
Attaches with its thick lips and rotates around its axis, cutting out a perfectly round piece of flesh.
Hence the name, cookie cutter. The victim remains alive, but with a characteristic round wound, which sailors and scientists found on the bodies of whales and submarines for decades before they understood who was doing it.
The cookie-cutter shark has yet another weapon: bioluminescence.
The underside of its body glows with a greenish light, but a dark spot remains on its throat, which, when viewed from below, looks like the silhouette of a small fish against the dim light of the surface. A large predator sees this silhouette, mistakes it for prey, and approaches.
Instead of a meal, it gets a hole in its side.
A strategy worthy of a horror movie, with a double plot twist. 3,000 to 4,000 meters. The abyssal zone. Eternal darkness, eternal cold, pressure capable of crushing a steel barrel. And here we meet a shark that breaks perhaps the most fundamental rule we associate with that word. The Greenland shark lives not only at depths of up to 2,500 meters, but also under the ice of the Arctic, in waters with a temperature of -2 degrees. It reaches 7 meters in length and can weigh over a ton, one of the largest sharks on the planet. Its flesh is so saturated with urea and trimethylamine oxide, substances that protect cells from pressure and cold,
That it is poisonous when fresh. Icelanders have been making hakadl from it for centuries.
fermented meat that is considered one of the most disgusting delicacies in the world. Fresh flesh causes poisoning similar to severe intoxication. Vikings, according to legend, first learned about this when their sled dogs ate a beached shark and started staggering. And it's almost blind. Its eyes are parasitized by luminous crustaceans, copepods, attach to the cornea and slowly eat it away. Most adult Greenland sharks have characteristic cataracts on their eyes caused by these parasites.
There's a hypothesis that the copepod's glow may attract prey to the shark's snout, turning the parasite into a kind of lure. A symbiosis bordering on science fiction. A blind shark using its own parasites as a fishing lure. This is a level of biological inventiveness that's hard to come up with on purpose. In the stomachs of Greenland sharks, remains of polar bears, reindeer, and horses have been found. No one knows exactly how this sluggish, half-blind shark catches such fast animals. The leading hypothesis: it stalks sleeping seals. Lying on ice floes or dozing in the water.
Its movements are so slow and silent that the seal doesn't wake up until the jaws close.
This is a predator whose main tool is patience, elevated to the absolute.
But the most astonishing fact about the Greenland shark is its age. In 2016, a group of Danish scientists conducted radiocarbon dating of the eye lenses of 28 specimens. The results stunned the scientific community. The oldest shark in the sample turned out to be approximately 300–400 years old, and estimates for some large specimens reached 500 years. This means that this shark was born when Shakespeare had not yet written a single play. It swam in the Arctic Ocean when Columbus discovered America. It is the longest living vertebrate on the planet.
How is this possible? The answer lies in metabolism.
The Greenland shark grows at a rate of less than 1 centimeter per year. It moves at a speed of just over 1 kilometer per hour, slower than a pedestrian. Its metabolism is slowed to the limit. Every biochemical process in its body proceeds tens of times slower than in surface sharks. It lives in literal slow motion. It reaches sexual maturity at approximately 150 years of age. Imagine a creature that needs a century and a half to grow up.
Its life cycle unfolds on a timescale that is closer to geology than to biology.
This brings us to a general principle, explaining why deep-sea sharks become stranger and stranger.
Depth is a slow-motion machine.
Cold slows down the speed of all biochemical reactions. Pressure limits mobility.
The absence of food makes the luxury of speed and power impossible. Evolution in the deep is the evolution of economy.
Less muscle, more water in the tissues, slower metabolism, larger size. Large body loses heat slower and lives longer without food. Strange sense organs instead of speed. Each adaptation is logical from a physics perspective, but to the human eye, accustomed to the streamlined torpedoes of creatures without rigid muscles, with huge eyes or no eyes at all, with retractable jaws and glowing organs, drifting in absolute darkness at a speed indistinguishable from zero. And there's one more factor that makes deep-sea sharks creepy precisely to us: human psychology.
We are visual creatures, evolved in the sunlit savannah. Darkness for us is a danger signal.
Creatures that live in darkness and are adapted to it automatically activate our oldest fears.
Huge, non-migratory eyes trigger the uncanny valley effect. They are similar enough to ours to seem familiar, but different enough to cause unease. Retractable jaws violate our intuitive notions of how a face should be structured.
Glowing bodies in the dark evoke associations with ghosts and the supernatural.
Deep-sea sharks scare us not because they are dangerous. Most of them will never meet a human and pose no threat to us. They scare us because they violate our ideas of what a living creature should look like.
The vast majority of the deep-sea habitat remains completely unknown.
A white spot on the map of our own planet, more extensive than all continents combined.
In 2024, an expedition off the coast of Chile discovered over 100 new species in 2 weeks of work. Statistically, there are almost certainly species of deep-sea sharks that we have never seen. Maybe right now, at a depth of 4,000 meters, somewhere in the Pacific Ocean, a creature drifts that would make the frilled shark look cute by comparison.
They were here before trees, before bones, before dinosaurs.
In the darkness, where time has almost stopped.
As the deep oceans hold many more creatures worth telling about. See you